We've always argued they should just legalize these goods, but now, with the current restrictions, prices just keep rising.
I'm more afraid of things running out than our prices going up.
The closure of border crossings and air freight restrictions have led to severe shortages and soaring commodity prices, leaving citizens struggling with both rising costs and dwindling supplies. Hello, and welcome to Doa Tan, a weekly podcast about human rights stories from Myanmar. It's brought to you by Fondation Hirondelle. This episode is produced by a Doa Tan journalist. Names may have been changed to protect contributors.
I'm more afraid of things running out than our prices going up.
Win Maw is a housewife from North Okalapa Township in Yangon. She's worried that things will only get worse.
Even now, some items are already out of stock. The toothpaste brand I usually use is no longer available.
As imported goods become increasingly expensive, basic items are disappearing from shelves.
The price of produce, food, cosmetic, and consumer goods import from Thailand have soared. For example, the price of a carton of soy milk, which was 4,200 Myanmar kyats in early August, has now risen to 7,000 kyats. And now some products are out of stock.
Ma San Nui, a grocery store owner from Zabudiri Township, Naypyidaw, said the cost of imports from Thailand have surged since the last week of August. Shortages have become so severe, she wasn't able to buy all she needed.
Some supermarkets are rationing high demand, low stock items such as food and everyday goods, allowing one item per customer instead of as much as they need.
In mid-August, the junta closed the Mya Sot Friendship Bridge No. 2, a key crossing point for trade between Thailand and Myanmar. This was followed by a crackdown on air freight, with new restrictions on the import of commercial goods without proper licenses. This has caused shortages nationwide and a surge in prices. Small-scale traders typically prefer goods via border routes rather than air or sea because it's cheaper. However, since 2023, frequent instability and tougher inspections by the junta at borders have forced more traders to turn to air cargo. But these new restrictions are also impacting air freight, with some companies temporarily suspending large commercial shipments and only handling small consignments of a few kilos. On August 23rd, New Light Cargo, an international logistics company, announced that it was temporarily halting its operations between Thailand and Myanmar because of these new restrictions. Go Situ, an online retailer of Thai-made shoes who lives in Yangon, said he suspended his business completely.
Normally, we send items from the shops in Thailand to a cargo company and they deliver the goods to us. It usually takes about 2 weeks to arrive. I already placed orders back in August, but now these goods can be shipped here, so my money is tied up.
Go Situ said he's holding off on selling more products because he's unsure how long the situation will last. On August 12, Junta Chief Senior General Min Aung Hlaing accused armed insurgents along the borders of funding themselves through extortion from illegal trading, which must be stopped. The Committee for Preventing and Combating Illegal Trade was then established, with Vice Senior General So Win serving as chairman. In July, So Win said the committee had seized over 660 billion kyat, approximately $314 million worth, of illegal goods in 3.5 years, from January 2022 to June of this year. The junta doesn't issue enough permits, so traders are forced to find other ways of importing goods. To enforce these tight regulations, the junta conducts random searches, often arresting people. Oo Tet Zor, an economic analyst, said it's the government's policy of blocking rather than legalizing imports which has driven up prices.
We've always argued they should just legalize these goods. If they did, people would be able to access the goods freely. But now, with the current restrictions, prices just keep rising.
He explained that openly criticizing the junta is difficult, as they operate according to their own agenda. Their restrictions on domestic transport and cargo have had a huge impact. In May, General Mya Tun Oo, chairman of the junta's Central Committee on Ensuring Smooth Flow of Trade and Goods, said that they would work to achieve a trade surplus in the current fiscal year. The junta reported a trade surplus of over 2.3 billion kyat in the previous year. This surplus was not a result of increased exports, but rather of reduced imports. Oo Sain Tay, an economic analyst, explained Myanmar still requires imports.
For a country like ours, imports remain essential. That's why trade deficits occur. But having more imports than exports, or a deficit, isn't always a bad thing. It depends on the situation. For an example, factories need to import raw materials. If the raw materials cannot be imported, production will be affected and the output will decrease. This can impoverish a country.
He went on to say that on average, 60% of Myanmar's trade comes from maritime routes and 40% from border routes. In the current situation, almost all of the country's borders are closed. Since last June, maritime trade has been conducted via the Ranong-Gortao-Yangon sea route, prioritizing imports with official licenses. However, business people say this route is more expensive and therefore less profitable than the border trade because of more restrictions. Meanwhile, the junta has also limited domestic trade. The transport of almost all goods, including solar products, medicine, consumer goods, food, and fuel, has been blocked in certain regions like Bago, Mon, Kiyin, Tanintari, Chin, Sagaing, Northern Shan, and Karenni states. In late August, Kitit Media reported that the junta issued new rules, listing banned goods and areas for trucking and delivery services. Companies that don't follow the rules could lose their licenses. A housewife from Piemana Naypyidaw complained that those in power should be more considerate of the public, who have to struggle with rising costs and other hardships.
The people are struggling in every aspect, including soaring commodity prices. Those in power must acknowledge and address the hardships faced by ordinary citizens.
Thanks for listening to this edition of Doatan. We would welcome your feedback on social media, and please follow or subscribe to our pages. This project on human rights reporting is supported by Fondation Hirondelle with the help of our donors. You can listen to our podcasts via the Doatan Facebook page, and they can also be found on SoundCloud, YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, and Telegram. Please tune in again next week.